Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. Now, yesterday it was announced that Canelo Alvarez will face Edgar Berlanga this September. And that's a fight that had been out there circulating for quite some time. So it's not necessarily a shock that he's going to face him. But it's a fight that I don't think a lot of people were clamoring for. Now, we haven't done a video on this fight yet because, quite frankly, I don't have a lot of interest in the fight. Jason may want to talk about this a little bit later. We may do it as a part of our live stream, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday, so make sure you check us out. But it's not something that I necessarily desire to talk about. But I do want to talk about the co-main event, and that is Danny Garcia versus Erislandy Lara. Now, this fight has been talked about, I swear, since early to mid 2023, all the way towards the end of 2023, when there were a lot of discussions out there in regards to what the PBC was going to do relative to their TV deal. I think maybe there's even some conversations about this even earlier in this year that might be one of the fights that headlines the first card on Amazon. And now Danny Garcia is finally getting this opportunity to face Erislandy Lara. Now, I perceive this as being an interesting fight. I actually think it's going to be quite an entertaining fight. And here's the reason why. Danny Garcia has not been in the ring since May of 2022. Boy, that's a long time of inactivity. It doesn't matter what level of a fighter you are. And we've seen what inactivity has done to a number of fighters, specifically on the PBC. Inactivity has been, I would say, the nail in the coffin, if you will, on certain fighters and their performances in recent fights. So how is Danny Garcia going to look? The last time we saw him was against Jose Benavidez Jr. He looked good, but now he's moving up one weight class. And when they were originally talking about this fight occurring, I thought to myself, that's kind of smart by Danny. Because what he's doing is he's focusing in on a fighter at 160 pounds that has not been a puncher. He's not a puncher, right? He's been a boxer for the most part of his career. But if you look at the last couple of fights from Erislandy Lara, to me it seems like he's now sitting down on his punches. Last fight, if I remember correctly, he knocked the dude senseless. So Lara is now punching. And when you think about Lara, he hasn't been that active either when you think about him. His last fight was in March of 2024. Prior to that, I believe his last fight was sometime in 2022. I believe around the same time as Danny Garcia, sometime around May, was his last fight prior to the fight that he had in early 2024. So it makes it's very, very interesting to me. Danny picked the fighter that I would say is the fighter with the least punching power, right? You got, who are the other middleweight champions? Janabek, I believe, holds 2 of the titles. Carlos Adames holds the other one, and Lara holds 1 as well. It makes sense for Danny to try to fight Lara for a number of reasons. But it makes sense for him to try to fight Lara coming up in weight, a guy that you don't consider to be the biggest puncher in the division. It makes sense to try to win your 3rd title in as many weight classes. But I could easily see this going the wrong direction for Danny Garcia just because of the inactivity. Danny's got to be, how old now? Danny's got to be, what, 30? I'm assuming like 34. Let me see if I can find his age. Danny Garcia. Oh, damn, he 36. Okay, now Lara ain't no spring chicken either. I would imagine he's about 40. Let's see, Lara is 41 years old. So neither one of them are spring chickens. I would imagine that Danny Garcia is the fresher of the two. But again, moving up in weight, and that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be a real challenge as far as I'm concerned for Danny Garcia. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great co-main event, although I'm not all that thrilled about the others. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with this fight and how it ends up playing out. And I just feel that that's I just feel like that's a situation there with Danny Garcia where um I just feel like that's a situation that's currently going on that is going to be, oh, I don't know. Danny. I think Danny has a real chance to win the fight. I really do. I believe that that's a situation where he has the opportunity to win. But if Erislandy Lara comes in there and he's looking like the old Erislandy Lara to some extent, of course he's aged, so he's not going to look exactly like Erislandy Lara. But if he's punching like he has been and has any remnants of the old Erislandy Lara, it could be potentially a long night for Danny Garcia. And then the other thing is, Danny has at 140, Danny was a puncher. He was a real puncher. And I'm not saying Danny couldn't punch at 47 because Keith Thurman mentioned how hard Danny punched at 47. So certainly he was a puncher at 47 as well. But at 54, I don't think he's much of a puncher. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's going to be a puncher or look like a puncher at 160. So can he even damage Erislandy Lara? Can he cause Lara some real concern? It'll be interesting. So it is what it is. I like the fight. I like what PBC is doing. I'm interested in seeing what the rest of the card looks like. I'm not all that excited about. I'm not all that excited about the Canelo fight, but you never know. Berlanga can't punch. Anything can happen in the sport of boxing, but I just personally don't foresee that being a fight that, the vast majority of boxing fans, both hardcore fans and your general casual fans, will be all that interested in. So we'll see what ends up happening. You guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. Are you excited about this fight? Erislandy Lara versus Danny Garcia. I think that's one that could be interesting just because of the stages of the fighter, of both the fighters, if you will. And we'll see what else ends up landing on this card. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, M Sports Media, and I am out.